Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today with this Penguins Waddle holiday themed card featuring brand new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant 2019 September 7th anniversary release. I'm going to be creating a non-traditional pink and red holiday card for you today, as well as some very light, kind of more pastel type coloring with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. So in addition to doing light coloring, I'm really not going to be using multiple colors or shades in each color family. I'm going to be using one color and the blender with each to blend that out and keep it super, super light. We're going to start by stamping this awesome new addition to the line of stamps from Mama Elephant, where they have these collections of sweet little critters or images. I am a huge fan of these, absolutely love them. I've stamped this along the border or the horizontal border on some Bristol Smooth cardstock using the Ink on 3 Fade Out No Line Coloring ink. And then I'm going to do some no line coloring with my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers, using a light gray and a blender to blend that out for the dark, quote-unquote dark part of the penguin. For the facial and the underbelly part of the penguin, we're using flesh color and blending that out with the blender. Then for the beak, we're using bright yellow, blending that out with the blender. And we're just going to kind of follow this same style of coloring throughout. I'm really not going to mix up the colors a whole lot. In fact, all the penguins will be colored with light gray, flesh color, and the blender, with bright yellow for the beak, pink haze for the cheeks, and the blender used with those as well. So you can see the blender is really getting a workout with these images, but it keeps everything so sweet and light. I think as we're coloring, it's a little bit harder to see until we get further into it just how effective this is. I've also decided to keep my color combinations for any accessories to pink and red. That isn't to say that there won't be a couple of areas that are going to need another color. For example, there's going to be the lid of a coffee cup that I really wanted to do in a dark gray. The top hat also in a dark gray, so we'll be implementing some of the gray marker. There are glasses. One of the penguins wearing some glasses and reading, I like to think maybe a Christmas Carol book, but whatever it might be, and I think those glasses are darling. Well, to help give the illusions of glasses, we'll be using a very, very light blue, haze blue marker, which I'll share here in a minute because we're going to get ready to color him. And then we'll also be using a little light green for the stem of the flower. But other than that, we're going to keep the accessories all to pink and red, which is carmine red in this case and sugared almond pink, blended out with the blender. Love the pink and red scarf as well. I hope you guys do too. It's really fun to kind of go out of your norm and color something in non-traditional. It would have been really easy to go red and green here. Super, super easy, and even dark gray for the penguins. And I will tell you, I stamped this panel twice. In the first panel, I colored 3 penguins and I colored them with dark gray and light gray. Didn't love it. See that light haze blue that I added to the glasses? I just was doing that as I was talking. Very, very light, only around the edge, and it gives that illusion of glass. Something I have found over time, and I do keep trying it with not super great results, I don't think, is applying things like glossy accents or crystal lacquer or anything like that over things that are supposed to be glass when I've colored with Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. These are water-based markers, remember, and when you put a water-based product like glossy accents on top, sometimes it will change the color underneath. This is especially true with red. I have found it does not work good with red at all. And while it probably would have been okay for the glasses, I wasn't willing to put it on top and run the risk and just see what happened. I was really, really afraid that it wasn't going to be great. So I looked for another way to give those glasses illusion without adding a product on top. If I had colored this with colored pencils or alcohol ink markers or something like that, I for sure would have put glossy accents on top of those glasses because I just love how that looks. But I think just over time I have found that it's iffy. The results are iffy. You never know if it's going to turn out okay or not, and I wasn't willing to, do a test paper in this case, maybe have stamped a couple of backgrounds and tried one just to see if it would work. I think that would be worth trying at some point just to see, but I think it very much depends on the color you're using. And as I mentioned, I have a lot of pinks and reds here, and I just was really afraid that it might not turn out as great as I was hoping it would. So you probably noticed as I was talking, I colored in the stem of the flower with yellow green, keeping my colors really light here. I definitely am going for that pastel kind of look. So they all have that light gray body and then the flesh color for the underbelly, pink cheeks, because I think pink cheeks just make everything cuter. And then scarves and letters and coffee cups and flowers, songbooks, top hats, bow ties. One's holding a heart, one has a little bow on its head. A couple of images we're not going to see in this. One is fishing and there's a fish bowl that actually gets cut off, but how cute is that? If I had used this in landscape style, I would have definitely used that because I think it's a darling. I'll probably do another background like this at some point just because I think this is really, really fun. Then there is also a crown, more scarves, just all one holding a fish. So cute, you guys. I love these big borders from Mama Elephant. I think they're super creative and fun. And a great way to kind of flex your coloring muscles. If you want to if you're a colorer and you love to just sit and color, these are fantastic for that. I could have done this more assembly line style, and I'm going to just talk to you about why I did not for this particular background. So by assembly line style, I mean I could have colored all the penguins in, and then gone through and done all the accessories that were going to be in pink, and then gone through and done all the accessories that were going to be in red. I did not because these are water-based markers. What happens is I did start at the left and move to the right because I'm right-handed. If I was left-handed, I would have done the opposite. I don't want to smear the ink. It stays wet a little bit longer. I have found that I can get my hand in it and it can smear. So if I had gone through and done all of the penguins and then tried to go back and do the reds and things, red especially is a big culprit for smearing, and I didn't want to have that happen. I was really conscious of not wanting to mess up my background because this is a lot of coloring. So I just worked penguin by penguin. Another reason for working penguin by penguin or image by image, no matter what kind of big border you're doing like this or big image, no matter what coloring medium you're using, if you find that you sometimes miss areas, maybe you'll miss an accessory. Let's say you'd miss a beak or a heart or something, whatever it might be. I'm just using those as examples from this image. I like to color image by image because it helps ensure we're not going to miss anything. Now I did die cut the penguin's waddle with the coordinating border die, and that's because I wanted to have an idea of kind of where I was at. See how much more I actually have to color in order to get my 4¼ inch wide base. So I'm going to just color in a few more places here. I also took a black glaze pen and drew in the eyes. If a penguin was winking, so that penguin kind of in the center there, right to the left of the penguin with the top hat. If it's winking, I drew that in with a black fine tip pen instead, because the gel pen is going to give you more of a glob. It's great for the eyes, but it's not going to work for that detail. And I'll have another penguin that I'm going to add that to as well. But that gives me this gives me an idea where I need to go. So I kind of went in and I filled in these last few, and you'll see when I adhere this to the bottom of my card base, I actually have to color in a few more areas. I didn't want to do a bunch of extra coloring. And why would you? Because you're just going to trim that off and discard it. There's only a little thin strip really that doesn't get used here. And so I think it's wise to not spend that extra time. Now I'm going to take just my card base. I'm not actually going to add an extra piece of paper. I've taped it down to my work surface so it doesn't shift. But I'm going to ink this up with a couple of my favorite Hero Arts Hero Hues Reactive Inks in Taffy and Fruit Punch. And they are just the perfect colors to complement the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers I used for coloring in the penguin's Waddle. Absolutely love these. Blended together, and you can see I did an ombre from light to dark, so we've got the taffy at the top and the fruit punch down near the bottom, and I didn't go to the bottom of the panel because that's going to get covered up with my border. And I'm splattering that background with Lawn Fawn Liquid Stardust. I love this product. These are Hero Arts Reactive Inks, meaning they react with the water, and they're going to kind of wick away some of that color underneath and just leave these really pretty sparkly splatters. And I'm going to adhere my border along the bottom edge and trim off any of that excess. That's where I was talking about. Now I can see what exactly I have left to color to fill that in. And it's just some little teeny tiny areas that I can do super quick. Now we're ready for finishing touches on our card. That includes sentiments and anything else we want to add to the top. Something that I think is so super awesome is this Oh So Merry die is part of the Penguins Waddle coordinating die set. So there is not a stamp that says Oh So Merry. So you get the dies and you open that up. There is a huge coordinating die in this that works with all kinds of different stamp sets. You don't have to use it just with this set, but it's really, really fun. I have die cut this from some Bristol Smooth cardstock that's been adhered to Fun Foam with Stick It adhesive. I want my title to be dimensional, and we're going to ink it up just like we did the background with Taffy and Fruit Punch Hero Arts Reactive Inks. We're going to splatter some of that liquid stardust all over these as well. Give them a little bit of a sparkly look. I really want my sentiment to coordinate or complement the background. It's tone on tone completely. It's going to be very legible because it's got that great dimension. And it's nice and bold. It really will fill in the area up top. Something though that I love with a bold title like this is a small strip of stamped text. In this case, we're going to use a set from the 2018 release for holiday called Holiday Messages. And I am going to stamp this phrase with my clear embossing ink and heat emboss with white embossing powder. That white really just ties in to the rest of our card. So nice. I know I've talked about this in other videos, but probably 95% of the time I use white embossing powder because I love how it looks. We're using the phrase, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." So it's "Oh So Merry, we wish you a Merry Christmas." And then we're going to have this fantastic border along the bottom edge of our card. And I'm taking my time, making sure I don't have stray white embossing flakes by using a dry paintbrush to kind of move those out of the way. And I kept noticing that I maybe tapped off too much embossing powder, but I'm just taking that dry paintbrush and wiping away any little stray embossing flakes that I see. There's our white sentiment on the background. We can now pop our die cut sentiment right out, and because we have used stick-it adhesive on both the front and the back of the fun foam, it's going to make this a sticker, which is another one of my go-to, most often used favorite techniques for a dimensional die cut sentiment. And then we want to pop out all those little inside pieces, and then we're going to adhere this right above the stamped and embossed holiday messages phrase. Look how cute that is. So much fun. Now it's time simply to add some finishing details. This could be with anything. You could use sequins, gemstones, confetti little pieces, all kinds of things. I decided to go super simple and another go-to product with Nuvo crystal drops and just create some additional little like snowflakes. That falling snow, reinforce that feeling of the background. And I'm doing something a little fun. In addition to the gloss white, which is one of my go-to colors, I'm also going to use red berry, which is a really pretty bright red. I wouldn't call it true red. It almost has a pinky cast to it, so I think it fits the theme of my card really great to it, or really great. And we're going to create little drops all around the background, and then of course let those completely dry for a good 24 hours before trying to mail this card. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video featuring the Penguins Waddle stamp set from the September 2019 7th anniversary Mama Elephant release. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you never miss a card making or paper crafting video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you here next time.